a topic is then to figure out what types of arguments or what types of articles are available that shows different sides and different points of view or pro and con sides of an issue. And that's where viewpoints come in. Viewpoints basically give you different sides of an issue. Now notice we have two basic viewpoints here, featured viewpoints and then viewpoints in general. The featured viewpoints are ones that are the top, most well-developed, well-researched, and closest to the topic related to that particular topic. The other viewpoints are all related to it, but not as much so. So the ones that are most related to it or have the strongest correlation to it are going to be listed in featured viewpoints. So if we click on featured viewpoints first, we see that here's lots of different points of view about video games. For example, the first one reads, violent video games promote antisocial behavior. Obviously that's a negative side of video games. But then just below that we have the opposite side. Video game culture does not promote antisocial behavior. So we have both sides of the issue. So this is what's really helpful to students looking at these viewpoint articles is they begin to show both sides of an issue. They develop arguments, they give you persuasive ideas to help you begin your research and facilitate your research process. Let's take the first one. Video games promote antisocial behaviors. Looking at the article, violent video games promote antisocial behaviors, we see that there are lots of information. But one of the things that's very helpful for students to understand is when we're reading the article is to pay close attention to the subtitles. For example, if we're reading this article on on the impact of negative impacts of video games, we would look through some key words here, but the main thing we would want to look at and how we organize this is to look at our subtitles. Nicer games make you nicer. We might want to write a note card on that particular subtitle, and then we'd read this paragraph under the subtitle and find out what was the main thing about the article is trying to talk about. What was the main argument? What's the main point? And usually they're highlighted in these little sections right here where it says players for violent games have better top-down control of their emotions. Put more plainly, they lack empathy. So there are some quotes here you can pull from, but basically if you summarize your subtitles, that gives you a great organizational structure to take notes of the articles and develop the arguments and persuasive elements of your paper. So I would take one or two notes on this subtitle, Nicer Games Make You Nicer. I'd follow down, read a little more. The lack of empathy, I'd focus on that. Video games creates a lack of empathy. Why? And write a note about that. Scroll down further. Immersive versus non-immersive. What is the importance of that? Make a couple of notes on that. But what's nice, and so on. Video games mean trouble. What does it mean by that? What are the facts here that I need to list under this particular note card? So it's organized by these subtopics very, very well. So when you're developing your argument, you don't just simply summarize the whole thing. Go through your subtopics and summarize your elements of your argument by subtopic. That's a quick, easy way to get a bullet list of ideas or a bullet list of points that you need to develop for your paper. Now, if your paper is not on the negative aspects but the positive aspects, then obviously you want to select a different article. But if your ideas match this particular viewpoint, then it's the simple way of taking notes to do that. Another important thing to think about too, when any article you look, if you find one you find a lot of information, is look at the further reading section and also the periodical internet sources. If you want to go back and look up some of these articles online on the actual internet, you can then go look through these and Google them or use whatever search engine you like and find more information that way. But here again, the whole purpose of viewpoints and online data is to give you a jump start to your research.